we've examined the absolute pinnacle of the Game Boy's first full year of life, and that weird bit in 1989 that gave us Tetris, Revenge of the Gator, and Super Mario Land somehow, examining the top 10 games released in that time period. Unfortunately, with every dizzying high, we have to face the terrifying lows, and the creamy middles. Sure, I might offend a few of the blue noses with my cocky stride and musky odours. Oh, I'll never be the darling of the so-called... Alright, stop it, you nerd. Here are the 10 worst games released in 1989 and 1990 on the Nintendo Game Boy. Dragon Slayer. A very early RPG series that set many benchmarks in the mid-80s. Unfortunately, by the time this was ported to the Game Boy in 1990, it was by no means good enough. Strangely staccato gameplay and infuriating combat, coupled with the lack of saves or passwords, and a game that you literally couldn't complete on one set of batteries, and there should be no wondering why this one never left Japan. Nine. Trump Boy. A very unfortunately named game by today's standards, although we can't hold that against it. This is a minuscule amount of content to dedicate an entire cartridge to. A small handful of uncompelling, crappy card games that had a sequel less than a year later. Can you say shovelware? Eight. Baseball. The first game I reviewed for the book, this launch title is depressingly unambitious, incredibly slow, you have very little control over your fielders. Jeez, where do I stop? Here, never talk to me again about Nintendo's baseball. 7. Hyper Load Runner. Possibly a surprise to some people, because Load Runner has a dedicated, effusive fanbase that'll probably give me stick for putting this on the list. Well, those people never played the Game Boy port. An irritating platformer with stupid controls that's worth less than the piles of dirt you dig up in the game. Six. Sakigake Otokujuku Mekushima Kesen. A very lackluster side-on sword fighting game where you have one attack, slash, and a jump height that takes you way off the screen. The fighters bounce about all over the place with idiotic AI and basically no depth to the combat at all. Plus, the anime it's based on is a little bit nationalistic and, well, racist, let's be honest. 5. Master Karateka. Jordan Mechner of Prince of Persia renown first tried his rotoscopy style of game with Karateka in 1984. It feels like this wasn't upgraded at all since then. Incredibly slow action, shonky fight sequences, and embarrassingly hilarious delayed reactions make an utterly deflating experience. The sound fluctuates between two alternating notes and absolute silence. A slop bucket well deserving of 5th place. 4. SD Gundam, SD Sengokuden, Kunitori Monogatari. I didn't know anything about Gundam before writing this book, and after playing this first of about 1 million games based on it, I wanted to know even less. This robot fighting game feels like it runs at 200% speed. It's virtually impossible to know what's going on, never mind react to it. Three, Soccer Mania. I can't believe I'm featuring this disgrace to soccer on the channel again, but this list would not be complete without it. I mean, I proper went off on it in the review. Go check that out to see just how angry a British guy gets when you screw up the beautiful game as badly as this. Somehow, there were 2 games worse, though. Hold on to your butts. Two, Tasmania Story. Yeah, I know, somehow this wasn't first on the list. It's the first one I, and probably many others, think of when trying to think of the worst games in this time bracket, but when I tabulated all of the scores, there's actually one that scored lower. I don't usually reveal the scores on the channel, you'll have to buy the book for that, wink wink nudge nudge. But I don't mind telling you that when graphics, sound, and gameplay were all marked out of 10, this game got a grand total of 4 out of 30. Yeesh. I mean, just look at it. It looks like I programmed it, on my own, without learning anything or consulting the internet, when I was 8. Dishonorable mentions. There's one absolute stinker left. But first, let's have a look at a few that just missed out, but still sucked enough for us to snort derisively at one more time. Hero Shugo Pinball Party. You can sorta see the ambition here, but the first game released in 1990 features 2 incomplete, half-empty tables, and one of the worst physics engines you'll ever see in any video game. NFL Football. It's not quite as bad as Soccer Mania, but the players don't look like humans, the gameplay is slowed down to that of a dream sequence, and that squealing sound meant that my first real exposure to American football was about as miserable as I thought it'd be. Pac-Man. This didn't actually score quite as badly as some others, but I'm not letting it off. Not having Pac-Man's full horizontal width on a single screen is bizarre. It's so easy to lose where you've been and just adds an extra layer of unnecessary difficulty. Also, the programming glitch where you'll sometimes skim through ghosts instead of eating them is inexcusable. With such a large development house as Namco were, with the legacy that Pac-Man already had, I cannot excuse flaws like this in what should have been perfect for the system. And finally, number 1, Monster Truck. How did this game pass through quality control? I mean, how? It's slow, the controls don't work, your truck insanely flips over at the slightest little touch on anything, the obstacles are unpassable without crashing. I could go on and on, but there's no point. If Tasmania Story only got 4 out of 30, this somehow got even less. And that's our list. What would you add? What would you take away? Did you somehow actually enjoy any of these games in a non-ironic way? Let me know their actual merits and why I'm wrong in the comments below. On to 1991 we go, in earnest. See ya! Thanks so much for watching this video. Let me know your thoughts on the game down below, and if you can spare a second, give the review a quick thumbs up, it really helps out. Subscribe to the Portable Power Podcast for a new Game Boy review every day from Monday to Friday. Or alternatively, new episodes of the podcast drop every Saturday and Sunday on whichever platform you get your pods. See you later on.